Have you ever wondered what outlet baffle on your septic system is actually the best one to have installed? And have you ever thought about which one might be the worst to have? Today we're going to talk about it. Before we do that though, I want you to go ahead, leave a comment down below. Either tell me what your favorite baffle is, or maybe you tell me what you have on your septic system so we can have the conversation in the comment section, and maybe you might want to consider upgrading if you have one of the ones I don't like to see. But let's get into it. Today's one of our first nice days we've had in quite a while, and we're going to take a quick 5-minute break and have this conversation. When it comes to a septic system, basically the way to think about it is a big concrete box. So you flush your toilet, all the water is going to go from the house to the tank, heavy stuff falls to the bottom as sludge, lighter stuff stays at the top as scum, and you have your liquid in the middle. Most tanks will have an inlet baffle and an outlet baffle. The inlet baffle, at least in the state of Maryland, is kind of like a, if it's there, it's there. If it's not there, it's not there kind of thing, right? The purpose of it is supposed to slow everything down so that way you're not shaking up all of the stuff inside of the tank, which should help to keep the solids falling out of suspension and not going to your drain fields. You're gonna have an outlet baffle. The outlet baffle is designed to keep all the floating stuff, the scum, from getting into the pipe and causing a problem. These baffles are installed on the outlet side because all that floating stuff is going to go where gravity wants to take it, which happens to be out of the tank. Commonly, those baffles are made of concrete and they're attached to the wall. The types of baffles that you can have are going to be terracotta, cast iron, concrete, plastic, like a little wall baffle type thing, and you're also going to have PVC. Older tanks typically would have cast iron pipe or terracotta line. I don't really see cast iron all that often. It's usually only in Montgomery County, and it's usually on houses that are before the 1970s. Terracotta baffles are far more common, and you would usually see them up to mid-70s-ish. Sometimes you might see them in the early 80s. Not terribly common at that point. Most of the systems by that time were concrete. So you got cast iron as your really old ones. Terracotta is also your really old ones. The problem I have with cast iron baffles is when you have that pipe sitting exposed to all that nasty sewer gas, it's going to start to rot. And as it rots, it kind of starts to shrink in on itself. If you have that cast iron baffle on the front of the tank, which sometimes they would do, it's now restricting the point where the toilet paper and stuff enters into the tank, meaning you might get a clog. The issue with it on the outlet side of the tank is going to be that it's now constricted so much that the water cannot actually escape the system. Terracotta lines, now they don't typically fall and kind of collapse like that, but the issue with them is it's fragile. Terracotta pipe is a very fragile pipe, and if you just happen to hit it the wrong way, boom, now it's broken. The issue I usually see with terracotta lines is that it literally just falls off of the pipe. It's got a bell shape and it kind of sits on the pipe coming in or the pipe going out, and sometimes it just doesn't want to stay on there anymore. And you'll see them at the bottom of a tank all the time. Concrete baffles though, now these ones are pretty good. The issue with a concrete baffle though is the sewer gas, as we talked a minute ago with cast iron pipes, is also going to chew up the concrete. Now the concrete typically is going to be a little bit larger area, so usually a 12 by 12 area compared to a cast iron pipe, which will be about 4 inches. The concrete has more surface area. So older style concrete baffles would be a wall baffle where it'd go from one edge to the other edge. More modern ones are going to be a little 12 by 12 square right in front of the inlet or outlet baffle. But if you have a 2-chamber tank, you might still have the baffles up front that are made of PVC or whatever, but you'll have a concrete wall baffle in the middle. Now, there's 2 different styles of those, and we talked about that yesterday, but we got a good question, and the question was, which one do I prefer? Do I prefer it with a slit in the middle or with the hole up top? Typically, these wall baffles will have one or the other. Older styles typically would have the slit, newer ones will have the hole. I prefer to have the slit, and the reason why is you're less likely to get debris from one chamber to the next chamber because it's going to be further down in the liquid. With a wall baffle that has the hole in the middle, you do run the risk of that pipe getting stuck or obstructed to where it might accidentally suck up and into the other chamber more debris. The reason the hole baffle is better and used more frequently is, let's just say the baffle's missing or it falls off. It's a lot easier to service. If the wall baffle in the middle with the slit falls apart and is no longer working, you can't really fix it. You replace the tank, right? It creates a lot of issues. We see this most specifically in Anne Arundel County which is going to be more of our eastern middle area, all right? The problem with Anne Arundel County is they were putting in two-chamber septic systems regularly, all through the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, etc. But a lot of the older ones with the wall baffle, the wall's starting to fall apart. And over there, they were requiring two-chamber tanks far before everybody else was. So whenever you have that wall baffle broken, they don't let you fix it. You're going to have to replace it. So having the hole is a lot easier, so that way if the baffle's not working or whatever, you can just put a new baffle right into the hole. I think that it could go either way. Like, I really don't see that big of a difference between the two, because if you have the hole with the wall baffle, you still run the risk of the wall itself crumbling, and then you're right back where you started. So it's either here nor there. Typically, from what I've seen, from what I've read, the middle one is better because it's less solids. The hole is, there is a potential for more debris to get from one chamber to the next chamber with that style. Now that gets us on to the plastic baffles and PVC. Plastic baffles typically are like a little shield. Usually they're black, sometimes they're white, and they're bolted to the wall. I don't like these ones all that much because it's not the plastic that fails. It's usually the fixture, the fastener, the part that gets it stuck to the wall is usually what ends up going bad, and now the baffle comes off. Typically, I will see this happen somewhere in the early 2000s to 2010s, and most commonly, all you do is you just kind of poke the baffle a little bit to see if it's still there, and almost every single time it's not, and then you just have to rip it off and then put a PVC one on there, and boom, now you're good to go. PVC is the best, in my opinion. This one is going to be glued to the inlet or outlet pipe. Typically, if you have the inlet coming in, you want a larger PVC one. So what I'll see a lot of people do is you'll have your 4-inch coming in, and they'll put it into a 6-inch bowl, right? So that way you're not kind of constricting it. Because again, the inlet side, that's where you're likely to get clogs, because toilet paper and human waste is going into the tank through that point. The outlet baffle's typically going to be 4 inches, and again, just glued straight on. It's just a little T, and there's nothing super crazy about it. I think the best baffle is a PVC baffle. I think next to that, I would probably prefer a plastic one, and the reason why is sewer gas is corrosive. So even though the plastic one is bolted to the wall, I still think it is better than a concrete one or terracotta / cast iron, because it's not going to be susceptible to the corrosion. We have some fastener issues, but there have been more advancements to where now people are still able to do them a little bit better, and who knows, in 30 years, they'll probably be fine. Like Baltimore County, for example, they're using a lot of these white ones that have a little gas deflector at the bottom of it. A gas deflector is like a little swoopy looking deal at the bottom of the inlet, or the bottom of the baffle on the outlet side. You'll also sometimes have them on the inlet side, but most commonly whenever I see that, it's always on the back side. So this gas deflector style and setup is going to be bolted to the wall still, but you know, they're supposedly using stainless bolts, so it shouldn't have the issue of the sewer gas or the water causing that bolt to go bad and fall off. So maybe when I retire, we'll know if it actually worked. My least favorite baffle has got to be cast iron. Hands down, I think cast iron baffles are the absolute worst. If you have a cast iron baffle, you should seriously consider getting it replaced preemptively, because you are just asking for clogs. I find clogs on those systems all the time. It's going to cause problems. It's going to cause a backup, and then you're going to end up with sewage in your house or your yard, and that kind of sucks and is never fun across the board. That brings us back to the first question I asked. What type of baffle do you have in your system? What type of baffle do you have? And when was the last time you checked to see if it was still there? Anywho, I have videos posted every day on the World of Well and Septic. Hopefully you found this useful and entertaining, and if you did, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and I have more videos posted every day. Till next time, guys.